You're listening to an XN Radio podcast.
Hello, friends. I just wanted to put a brief message here at the beginning of our show to say that Moody&D's episodes may feel a little darker than before. We still aim for a lighter air, but while we keep our stories relatively clean, they're not always for the faint of heart. Some of our stories may include violence and other darker imagery. It's important to note as well that not all of our players will always be playing characters who are exactly the heroes, and that not every action a player describes is something we morally endorse or support. More often than not, good stories must include dark or immoral topics and actions in order to create the conflict necessary to tell a good story. I mean, just look at the Bible. Some very evil things happened, but they tell an amazing story if you're just willing to stick through to the end. We promise, though, that we intend to keep our content free of foul language and any inappropriate content. With that being said, let's get on with the show. Welcome back to Moody&D. I'm your humble dungeon master. My name is Reese Samstutz. Today I have with me
Kent Aldrich, also playing Bran.
Yes.
Who is terrified because I'm the last of these. I have seen the effect this has had on the other two cast members. I'm scared.
Understandable. This is why we have safe words.
Yes.
All right.
Which is why I love tall, long-legged, long-necked creatures.
Such a weird way to communicate giraffe.
Well, I can't say it.
It's a leopard moose camel with a 40-foot neck. That's what it is.
That.
Last we left off, in Arc 3, the party left Tuzarek, barely being held together by the because of the tensions developed, and only staying together because some rampant chaos came in and ruined their plans to kill each other.
Fair.
After leaving Tuzarek, they went to the Visalak, where Adra acquired the Prismatic Blade. And after acquiring the Prismatic Blade, or actually prior to acquiring the Prismatic Blade, Durek, a dwarven individual, a child, had blood stolen from him, was killed in a fight with the body parts of Kuza. The body parts of Kuza then ran off into the forest. The party tracked them to a place that could have led either to Kelvrad or to Orvisol. They decided to go to Kelvrad, where they picked up Duvreg, a fighter, lizard folk fighter who is now following them, serving as an aide until Kuza is killed. They then went to the Orvisol tribe, found Kuza and his body parts, did battle with them, sent Kuza running, killed Jalek. Sichori lies on the ground, dying. Surtho is back in the ruins with Duvreg, all tied up, unable to escape because he has to roll a nat 20.
5% chance.
And as you look around at your companions, this situation finally having settled itself, you feel a sharp pain in the right side of your neck. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
I forgot to get out my dice.
What? Do you think we weren't going to play D&D?
Well, I did. It's just like the fact that I'm so used to whenever I'm getting out my dice, there's like two other people sitting around the table.
Yeah, no, you need your dice.
Pavlov's dog
Con
did
save.
not work. Con save, that is a 19.
Okay. With that established, you feel the sharp pain inside of your neck. Your vision starts to go fuzzy. You feel yourself losing the ability to hold your body up,
A 19 didn't save.
and your vision goes black.
Oh, gosh.
And you're not awake to feel your body hit the floor. You open your eyes, and you're in a really familiar place that you have not been in a very long time.
Which is...
Your father's shop.
Oh, boy.
You look around you, and you see the tools, the forge, the multiple anvils that were at one point necessary. Now, you can't really use multiple when you're alone. But you're in the shop.
Does it look like pre my father's death, post my father's death, the day that I left?
This looks post. Again, there's not much use for multiple anvils when you're alone. I will say right now, you do not immediately recall the events directly prior to this. And you're just in the shop. You see a list of orders. And you hear a voice in your head. Hey, what are we doing here? What are we making next? What's
Whoa. Tor. Please tell me this is not you screwing with my head again.
What do you mean?
Well, why are we here?
I don't know what you're talking about. We've been here for hours.
Tor,
We've got orders to get to.
Tor, we need to go back.
I'm just kidding. Wild magic! Roll on the table.
Oh, boy. Of course. It's a 2.
A 2, okay.
And an 18.
Okay, I just need to actually pull up the table.
And I'm sorry to everybody for the dice sounds. I forgot a dice tray.
No, it's totally fine. I don't have a problem with the dice sounds.
I was apologizing to the ears.
I know. I don't think they come in that loud. I don't know. People tell us. How loud do they come in? A 2 and a what?
2 and an 18.
18. That's what I thought I heard. 2 and an 18.
What did my hammer do this time?
I need you to make a wisdom saving throw against your own spell save DC.
Wisdom save. Wait, yeah, no, that's a 13, and my spell save DC is a 16.
You immediately drop the hammers that were in your hands. You just realized you had, like, hammer and tongs in your hand. And you go immediately over to, like, the nearest semblance of, like, a washing basin and just start scrubbing your hands and washing them. No explanation. You immediately have just this immediate need to wash your hands.
I mean, he's had Tor for a while. He just sighs. Any idea how long this one's gonna take?
Of
course. So why aren't we back with Audra and Klaus?
Again, you don't remember that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There's an order. There's a list of orders.
Okay. I mean, once I'm done, I'll just go back and start on the next one.
Yeah. You start working on your next thing. You've got an order for a sword. Something in the way of a scimitar. And you hear almost on the inside of your head a knocking sound, which is very unusual until you remember, yes, Wallace.
Oh.
And walking through the door is a halfling man with an eye patch over his left eye, wearing these, like, really dirty clothes, and just this bag on his right side that's covered in blood.
Wallace, good to see you. It's been a little while.
How you doing?
I mean, good. What do we owe the pleasure?
I don't know. You tell me. Why am I here?
I don't know. I didn't call you.
That is perplexing, then. Because I have a note right here from you saying that you needed me here.
I pull out Tor immediately. Did you send this?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I didn't send that, but yeah, I have no idea why you're here.
I mean, it has on here some notes that you want to know a little bit more about Tor.
I mean, I wouldn't mind, but I didn't send that letter that I remember.
I mean, I'm here. I'm going to tell you about him, or at least what I think I know. So obviously you created him by accident, right? All right. So you do understand, like, the way that magic items are created, right?
Yeah, in general.
Okay. So you remember the part where you gotta create an ethereal plane anchor.
Mm-hmm.
So when you create an ethereal plane anchor, you're basically creating a spiritual entity that you can fuse to yourself, especially when it comes to attunement.
Mm-hmm.
And Tor is sentient.
Mm-hmm.
That means that spiritual essence is conscious.
Mm-hmm.
You know all this, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that on accident.
Well, I did it on accident. I was just making a Warhammer and just... boom.
All right. Here's my guess. Because you don't just make spiritual consciousnesses on accident.
I mean, I would completely agree other than it happened.
Right. Let's just, let's just take a moment here to think back into the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? All right. What were you thinking about when you were making Tor?
Well, I was angry because my dad had just been murdered by... Shoot, what's his name? I have it in my notes, but I forget his name.
I believe this was the half-orc gang leader, yes?
No, it was the tiefling.
Oh, I believe that's Eodon Valoris.
Valoris, yep. Eodon Valoris. Yep, found it right as you were saying it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why do I know that? My word, those are old notes. Those are notes from when I created the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, so you say, because my dad was killed by Eodon
Yeah,
Valoris.
it was right after my dad was killed by Eodon Valoris. I was making something to... as a weapon, and I figured I'd go with a hammer, because I
Right.
know hammers well, clearly.
Right. So let's just... I just want to postulate something here.
Why is he a philosopher from Brooklyn?
I don't know what the heck you're talking about. So let's just postulate something here. If we are looking at if we're looking at how the heck you accidentally created something, there are really three major theories as to how you create something.
Mm-hmm.
Either you split yourself in half to do it, which I don't know if you would have the know-how to do.
Definitely, this is not me.
Okay.
All offense intended in that statement.
Don't take offense at it.
Of course.
So either you split yourself in half to do it. That's an option. You actually manually create something. Or, and you see him think for a second. Actually, there's no or. It's really just one of the two. Can I ask, why were you, yes, you were mad about your dad's death. What did you view to be the problem in that moment?
The guy who did it, Eodon Valoris.
Yeah, sure. That's the surface reason. That's the surface problem.
I mean,
What was your personal dig aside from he killed your father? I'm not asking what's your dig against the guy. I'm asking what's your dig against the event. Aside from your dad dying. Yeah, sure. That sucks. Dads die all the time.
Sorry, this is Kent laughing, not Bran. That was just too funny.
Dads die all the time.
I mean, just the fact that it happened, it made no sense. There was no point in it. He did it just to be spiteful and be the jerk that he is. There's no purpose to it. It was just random.
It was random.
Yeah.
And tell me, what did you create?
Well, shoot. How much would I know at this point? Because I've discovered things about Tor in our quest.
So what you know about Tor is that he is effectively a voice that has been given to the magical effect known as wild magic.
Okay. So he's essentially sentience of wild magic. That's all.
Yes.
That's about all I
Yep.
know about him.
Yeah, and so he asked, "What did you make?"
I mean, the sentience of wild magic, for lack of a better term.
You made random.
Literally.
You made random. The problem was random. You made random. Now you're probably wondering, where am I going with this?
Yes, but I'm used to your rambling talks, so, like...
Can I see Tor?
I mean, he's out here.
He touches Tor.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, this little magic spark comes up his finger. And this, like, spectral hammer shape, like, lifts out of Tor.
Okay.
All right, so what you see here is a magical representation of the thing that you created
Mm-hmm.
on accident.
Mm-hmm.
Notice anything? Make an Arcana check.
Oh. That is a 23.
What languages do you read?
I have, where do I have them written down? I know I have them written somewhere.
Actually, just tell me, what language do you read that Bran would consider his native tongue?
Common.
Common. Sort of with a, what was your Arcana roll again? Sorry.
23.
23. Yeah. With a 23, you're looking at this thing. It's
Mhm.
comprised of like this light blue light. And you're looking at it and you start looking really, really closely.
Mm-hmm.
And you start seeing words. Very, very tiny script that is comprising this light. In common. Some of it you know to be script which writes and binds magic.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it seems to be just shifting thoughts, like, what the heck is going on here? We don't need to be doing this. You know, like, you can tell this is Tor thinking.
Interesting.
And there's a thought that rolls by, and you see, I didn't even know I had this sort of entity part of me. And that doesn't go in your head. It's just like, it's there.
Huh.
And Wallace looks at that. See anything?
I mean, just writing on it.
Pretty interesting that there's text here, isn't there?
Sure.
All right. Arcane theory. Pop quiz right now.
Mm-hmm.
Words are powerful. Why?
Do I need to roll an Arcana check?
You can make an Arcana check. This feels like something that you would just know. Like, this is a no-brainer. Why do words have power?
I mean, because they say things.
They say things. They have meaning. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's one point. What is this thing saying overall? The whole point of magic, especially written down equations, is that eventually they communicate an overarching concept. Take a look at some of the text here. I need you to make an Arcana check and an investigation check.
All right. My second Arcana check is a 24.
Okay.
And my investigation is a natural 20 to a total of 25.
All right. Natural 20. We're going to start with the natural 20 of you investigating, and then we'll break down. So the natural 20, you start to see different series of almost equations that are creating this. And part of you looks at it and you're like, there's no way that this was created on accident. Because this happened on purpose. This, like, you can't do this on accident.
Interesting.
You can't do this on accident because what you start realizing is there's enchantment and abjuration specifically. Now, what you find strange is that you're looking at this and you're like, okay, but it's wild magic, which doesn't have a structure, which doesn't have a system to it. How is this so systematized?
Mm-hmm.
Your natural 20 investigation is going to lead you to a piece of magic that you actually have never seen before. And with your 24 Arcana, I'll give you... You see in this... in this enchantment,
Mm-hmm.
there is sort of interspersed this illusion and necromancy magic. And the enchantment is creating almost a magical AI. Like it's programming thought. And the only reason you're able to see that is because you made it through a layer of arcane abjuration to keep this from being seen.
Interesting.
And that necromancy and illusion, you're like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, sorry, not necromancy and illusion, transmutation and necromancy.
Mm.
The transmutation, you're like, oh, this is what allows him to shapeshift. Yeah, that's there.
I didn't know about shapeshifting. Yes.
The changing into different weapons.
That didn't happen yet. That happens during our campaign. It never happened before.
It ticks in your brain.
Oh.
You're in this weird space.
Okay. Gotcha.
This is something that you're slowly starting to realize is there's like half knowledge because like all your spells, all that stuff's still there.
So I have knowledge I shouldn't have at this point. So why do I have this?
Right. And so there's this irregularity that tips you off to kind of like, this is a very abnormal state. I don't know what to identify it as yet, but there is, and it's like
gotcha.
that thought is subconscious.
Okay.
It is in
It's
the
there,
back
but
of your
it's
mind.
an itch kind of
Yes. And so like when you think, oh, this is how he can shapeshift, there's a subconscious thought, wait, how do I know that? Regardless.
thing.
And you start looking into this necromancy. The necromancy stuff that's in there is a long bit of pieces, almost as though there was coding that was written out and there was a second, like, or actually, let's ignore the coding thing. Cipher. It's like there was a cipher in the cipher.
Okay.
That if you broke the first cipher, you could understand a second layer of ciphering. That something had to be pulled away from another thing in order to create Tor. You're not sure what yet, but something had to be pulled away from another thing. Now, and this is Wallace speaking for the sake of clarification because Tor and Wallace have very similar voices. Now, if you take a look at this, as you can see, and as obviously I saw before you, there's program here. There's design here.
Right.
If that doesn't come about accidentally, where does it come from? In the moment that you were forging Tor, you were particularly torn up, pun intended, about your father's death. Particularly the randomness of it. I have a theory. I'm not sure why Tor was created. I couldn't tell you. I have a guess, though. If I could guess, and again, we are not saying this is true. You were tired of random. We knew that. You knew that. Wouldn't it be great if you could control the random and just divorce yourself from it? To just eject your wild magic sorcery from your veins. But you can't.
Nope.
Part of me thinks you tried. Maybe not consciously.
I was going to say, I wasn't consciously trying to do that.
I don't know.
But subconsciously.
But
It's possible.
I'm no genius. And that's being very humble.
Literally.
But I look at this and I see magical malpractice, almost as though a medical situation. And the diagnosis of you accidentally created a being that could house your chaos instead of yourself does seem to hold up.
Okay, fair. I mean, you're literally the expert.
Well, I'm the expert of what is known. How he came about is unknown.
Fair.
I've never heard of a case like yours.
It was always unique.
Yeah. Did it help?
I mean, based on this theory, no. It made it worse.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, I had a voice in my head all the time. Now, I'm, no doctor, but I generally know that voices in your head aren't a good thing.
No.
Even sentient ones glare at Tor.
Yeah, I think we also got to recognize, though, that you're not imagining Tor.
That's also very true.
He's real. You're not hearing voices in your head. The voices are entering your head from real things outside of your head.
That's fair. Still not entirely healthy.
No. But it's just something to be aware of. You got any further questions about Tor?
I mean, not really. Would I remember the one time he disappeared, where we had the whole Tor went away for
you
a
didn't know
couple
if he was
days?
coming back?
No, not when he was angry at me. When I asked him to go figure out what the heck had
Yeah,
happened.
I know. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I
No,
remember.
no, you
okay,
don't have enough
okay.
conscious memory of that.
I would ask about that, but I don't know. So.
No, not enough conscious memory. All right. Wallace looks at you and is like, you got anything?
Not that I can think of.
What do you do with this information? And you look away to think about it, and you look back, and he's gone.
Classical Wallace.
And the spectral image of Tor just like floats back into the hammer.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, no kidding. I really don't know what to do with that.
Me neither.
Back to work?
Sure, why not?
Nah, let's go somewhere else.
All right, fine. I will.
You agreed?
Well, if you don't want to work, you're going to bug me until I leave anyways.
True.
So might as well mitigate the stress levels and keep my blood pressure down.
Okay. You start to walk out the door.
I disappear Tor and just start walking.
Yeah, you start to walk out the door. You look out. That sky's real problematic.
Rain? Thunder?
Black
Death?
Not the Black Death falling from the sky.
I'm more meant, sky that looks like Black Death.
No,
coming
not
to
sky
get
that
me.
looks like Black Death. But that looks like a hurricane.
Oh no.
You've seen them before.
Mhm.
Yeah, there hasn't been one in a while.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been one in a very long while. You haven't had to deal with one alone yet.
Mm.
That looks like a hurricane.
Immediately, I turn around and begin closing down windows. I'm assuming this is a coastal type of area, so
you guys are an island on a coast. Yes,
I'm assuming I'm assuming the house was built with anti-hurricane measures,
Yeah.
so I begin to deploy them.
Yeah, you start to begin to deploy them, and the house is secured. What do you do in the house being secured? You know the forge won't stay burning for long because you have to have somewhere for the smoke to go, which means there's somewhere for the rain to get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that he just picks up projects that haven't been that are like done with the forging process and starts working on them in the finishing process, which is as much of a process. So just at the grinding wheels with files, chisels, all that sort of stuff. To finish things, engrave stuff. Do decorative work do stuff that he might not have put as much time into, but he's like, well, I got time, so.
Yeah. The storm starts to roll in.
Mm-hmm.
The house is holding up. The thunder gets louder. Louder than you're used to. One of your windows, one of the boards flies off as some rock got hurled up into the window, smashed the glass, and knocked the board out.
I'm just gonna quick grab the board and a box of nails and a hammer and just go back and nail it back in.
You get it put back in,
and then probably put another board over that window and nail it down and do that for the rest of the windows. At least in the workshop.
Yeah. You put an extra layer of protection on. 2 windows break. One starts to spray out over all your tools. The other one starts to spray out over like the nearest thing to an available living space in this shop, like somewhere where you could actually be and relax. Which are you going to first?
I'll go to the tools. Make sure.
You go to the tools. You get the tools out of the way. You nail up the window. Way faster than you know is possible. The tools start to rust. That's not possible. The rate of occurrence is not possible. Then you go get the other one boarded up. By the time you've gotten that one boarded up, the front door flies open. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
It's a 19.
19? All right. You're not immediately terrified at the sight of your father standing in the doorway.
What? How undead? Spectral?
Just him. Like the last day you saw him. He steps in, doesn't even acknowledge you, just goes over to the forge. Calls out, Bran! Why are these tools rusty?
I just stand there and Tor appears in my hand.
Bran, get down here. Like, there's a stairway up to an upper space in the shop. And you think he thinks you're up there. I can never trust that kid. Puts the tool down. Starts cleaning rust off, starts polishing it down to where he might get to workable metal.
Is it working?
Yeah. He seems to be removing the rust. And I assume you go over and shut the front door, or is that not even an issue at all?
I mean, he's just currently watching to see what's going to happen. I mean, he buried his dad. He knows his dad is dead.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of like, what's about to break here?
You'll also notice your dad is dry. Like, he came in from outside.
Right.
He should be soaking wet.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just kind of like staring intently, Tor in hand, waiting for something to happen because he knows something has to. Like, this isn't normal.
Yeah. And walking through the door, you see a red tiefling. Iadon.
He's white.
No, he's not. I swear I made him red. I could be wrong.
Purple skin with blue eyes.
Oh, look at that. Look at me being wrong, ladies and gentlemen.
Look at the player taking good notes.
Well, you thought he was white.
Fair. Fair.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna pretend like Reese knows what he's talking about.
We're gonna pretend like Kent remembers details.
We're gonna take some dead air so I can edit that out. Standing at the door, you see a purple tiefling. Iadon.
Is he dry too?
Yeah. You see his notable sheaths on both hips and then one on the back as his tail goes for a sword. And you see your father sitting there. Iadon, what do you want? And the tiefling looks at him and says, I grow tired of your unwillingness to cooperate. Either you cooperate or I kill you. Your dad looks at him and says, I don't just meet demands. You kill me, the shop runs out. Nobody gets weapons anymore. Your gang war stops. You don't want to kill me. There's no purpose. You wouldn't have a reason to. And Iadon looks at him and says, True, I wouldn't have a reason to. Except I'm bored. And I grow tired of your inflexibility. And there's this smug grin on his face.
At this point, Bran switches toward his offhand, picks up a pair of tongs, and throws them at Iadon.
You throw the tongs at Iadon and they just pass right through him. Iadon walks up to your father, is within inches now. I give you one last chance. I'm being very kind here. I'm not normally this nice. Make your choice. And before your father can get a word in edgewise, the tail launches, and you see the blade almost meet your father's skin, and the image freezes. And it flashes and vanishes and reappears, but the blade is an inch into your father's chest, and it does this progressively until the blade is hilt deep in your father. And then it just freezes there. The wall. You're standing opposite them in this space. The wall up against them rips off the side of the building. And the thunder gets louder. Starts to press in. The door slams shut and flies open again.
I can't hold on to my pen.
The door slams shut, flies open again. And you see a small dwarven child. A gash cut across his clothing. Who just collapses through the door. And stepping through the door, you see a tall, three-horned lizard folk with a gnarled blade, who looks at you and says, Hit me.
Bran, does he? He's dry too.
He's dry.
Bran is both, like, he's just standing there,
Mm-hmm.
very much so like after Duvreg died the first time.
Durek.
Durek died the first time, like he very very similar in that way. Like he's just kind of frozen. But when Sichori says, "Hit me," he's gonna run up and he's gonna smack him.
You run up. You, like, fists or hand?
Oh, no. Tor, two-handed, just, like, taking a whack.
Yeah, you go to take a whack. You make contact. It hits. Satori's head flies off to the side in response to that. And he turns back at you and says, "Hit me."
Bran's gonna hit him again.
You hit
and
him.
Again, and again, and again.
No damage. You're hitting. You're making contact. You're following through. And the front of the building rips off. Satori freezes in place. The rain starts hitting you in the face. You're getting wet. That's a real obnoxious thing to be dealing with right now. Like, of everything that has to happen right now, I have to be wet too. But the rain is heavy. It's that kind of rain where it's blasting you in the face to the point where you can barely, like, keep your eyes open. And all those feelings of seeing Dudek die the first time are dredged up right to the surface. It was pointless. It was meaningless. It was random.
And on top of that, it was his fault.
And it was his fault. The side of the house rips off. The back of the house rips off. You're stuck with these two images. You are picked up off the ground. These images just spinning around you. You're spinning. The chaos is infuriating. You can't do anything about it.
Am I off the ground at this point?
You're off the ground. Oh, yeah, you're off the ground. You can't make heads from tails. You can't tell right from left, up from down. You're pulled up into what is effectively a tornado of some kind. The wind is that strong. There's no grounding. There's no placing. There's nothing. What is Bran thinking in this moment?
I think his brain has, at this point, he's seen his dad die again. And those wounds have healed, like, it's just been enough time.
Yeah.
But still, never something you want to see for a second time.
Yeah.
And then seeing, I'm going to say Duvreg. Durek, thank you. Seeing Durek die again, it dredges up the fact, like, I feel like I have, like, this is my fault. This is, like, it was pointless and meaningless. He shouldn't have died. He didn't have to die. And that's just spiraled his brain into this place where he's not really thinking anymore. His brain is, like, shut down. He is a processor that processed too much in one shot, and he is currently running like Windows on an update.
Yeah.
And there's just, his brain is snail crawling right now.
Yeah. You're floating in that space for a very long time with this chaos that you cannot control, that you cannot fix. And you hear a voice in your head. So, what do we do now?
I have no idea.
None. You got nothing?
Like, across the mental link that they share, the utter blankness of Bran's brain. That is a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Guys, try and say Bran's brain 3 times fast.
Bran's brain.
You're a vocal major, that doesn't count.
That does not make me better at tongue twisters.
Yes, it does.
No,
You
it
literally
doesn't.
train yourself to talk in languages you don't understand. Anyways, like, just the utter blankness there is going to, like, communicate across. Like, there is... if anybody knows radios, there's a difference between static and dead air. Like, static means there's nothing on a channel. Dead air means there's something there, just nothing's being communicated. Like, there's... It's not like Tor isn't hearing from Bran. He's just getting dead air.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's what he's getting at this point.
Yeah. And as you feed this dead air straight to Tor, he's like, dude, you gotta think something.
I can't control it.
Who said you could?
I can't do anything. What can I
Says
do?
Who?
Says me. I know my capabilities. I have nothing.
Maybe
swirling
alone.
in the middle of a hurricane.
Maybe alone.
What are you gonna do?
Who said I'm gonna do something?
Who's gonna help me then?
You got friends.
I don't see any of them in the middle of this storm.
Oh, you think we're still talking about this storm?
Aren't we?
Are we?
Aren't we?
You don't receive an answer.
Bran just looks around confused, looking to see if there's something he's missed in this storm.
Make an intelligence check for me.
Just straight intelligence?
Yeah.
Ooh, 13.
13. On a 13, you see the storm around you and you're like, I don't think this is real. And as you think that, the storm fades. You're dropped back in the wreckage of a house. The two images still staring you in the face. A third image appears of yourself sitting on a log, fuming. And a small brown lizard folk, about 4 feet tall, walks up, says, "Hey, Bran." And this image of a twisted undead Kuza, the shorter lizard folk version of him, not the winged thing that you've recently seen, comes up and starts tearing at this lizard folk. You know this lizard folk. It's Audra. Another image appears in this space, this destroyed house. Of Kuza leaning against a desk. The humanoid version of him.
The humanoid version of Kuza?
From the top of the tower.
He was humanoid?
Lizard folk are humanoid. Humanoid, not human.
My brain, guys. My brain.
The humanoid version of him. Leaning against a desk as fire washes over the space in front of him and a weasel burns up. And of a twirling ball of magical energy that turned into a sheep, which was dropped out a window, that made you so invested in socks of a shop which only sold things that are half off, of accidentally casting fly on yourself. You look around, and there's one major connecting theme from pretty much everything you see here to an extent. Is that they're kind of all just random. And one of the interesting things is not all of them are bad memories.
Huh.
You look around at the destroyed house at your feet. The pieces of what was once your home just sort of fallen apart in front of you. You think back to the number of times that Tor's wild magic surges were helpful. Not the problem.
Except for that one time with the tentacle.
Except for that one time with the tentacle.
Glad we rolled a 1 on that.
What is Bran thinking as he looks around and sees random?
Oh shoot, I'm trying to think of the movie it's from. There's a scene where essentially slowly like a wall is getting chipped away at, and that's kind of like Bran's brain.
Yeah.
At this point of like he has for so long believed that chaos only causes bad. Like even earlier before his dad died, he had some belief about that, and it was reinforced to a degree of insanity when his dad died, and so now all he can think about is like now it's like this is slowly chipping away at that.
Yeah.
Of forcing him to confront the fact that he has fond memories of chaotic times.
Yeah. You look around the absolutely destroyed house before you. There is no way you're going to be able to rebuild this. Does all the chaos need to be righted? Do you always have to pick up the pieces? There's a lot of broken wood around here to carry alone. At this point, I want to ask you, Bran's sort of in just this limbo state of looking around at him. Or looking around at everything around him. What does Bran want? Just given his current context.
I think Bran, given the current context, he wants peace, per se. And right now that doesn't necessarily mean everything's back to the way it was, or that everything's put back together, but that it's not so destroyed. Like, how to put it, he wants it all to stop, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he has to put the pieces back of what's been destroyed before.
Yeah. You feel a thought come into your head. Almost more of a memory. You can choose to let through if you would like.
Yeah.
All of these other images around you disappear.
Mm-hmm.
The house disappears. It's just you standing in the darkness.
Holding Tor.
But one image remains. The image of your father and Eodon above him with the blade through his chest. And you remember the thought you had when you found out about your father's death. I'm going to eliminate this chaos. I'm going to eliminate this random.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to eliminate him.
I will avenge my father. And everything will go back to normal. And that is immediately contrasted with the thought that you just had.
Mm-hmm.
That there is good chaos. So maybe not all the chaos has to be eliminated. Maybe. And also, that you don't necessarily want everything to go back to exactly the way it was before.
Mm.
That you don't need to rebuild the house exactly the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
The image fades. And Bran and Tor are just floating in space. Tor says to you, into your mind, "Do you think Wallace was right?"
Probably, knowing Wallace.
I'm not asking about his credentials.
Yes.
You think he was right?
Mm-hmm.
You think that when you made me, you split part of you apart to make me?
No, I don't necessarily think that. I think that, not like I split my personality, but I think that what I did was right away for me to control the chaos inside of me externally without even realizing it.
Hmm.
Less of a personality split, more of a, I don't know.
You tried to get rid of your wild magicness.
Mm.
Do you want me to go away?
No.
Are you sure? I can leave. You can be
I
rid of
don't
me.
Quite know
You'll keep
why.
all your abilities.
I don't quite know why. But no.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Cool. Make a charisma saving throw.
Love these. That might be the first one I fail against him. That's going to be 16.
Go ahead and give me a wild magic table roll.
Oh boy. It's going to be a 17.
Okay.
Axe die, don't fail me. And a 2.
The 2. You look down at the hair on your arm.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns this really weird shade of like bright yellow.
Oh gosh.
And you just hear a voice in your head say, "Oh, that should be real interesting."
Please tell me this isn't permanent.
Oh,
Do I think it's permanent?
you don't know.
Oh boy. Why is my hair yellow? Well, I know why my hair's yellow intellectually, but why is my hair yellow?
We'll find out. And that's where we'll pick up next week.
Oh, dang.
Thank you all for joining us on this
Thank you for
episode
this
of Moody&D.
emotionally scarring situation and hearing all of it. Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye, friends.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining us this week on Moody&D. You can catch our live stream on XN Radio at xnradio.cc or on the XN Radio app every Saturday at 2 p.m. CST. Or you can pop on over to our Spotify or Apple Podcasts to catch the episode the following Monday at 10 a.m. CST. Also be sure to follow our Instagram at Moody_N_D. Once again, that's the @ symbol, Moody_N_the letter D. That's all for this week, folks. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye, friends.